Hello everyone, welcome to the Canadian Edge. Time for another review. Got another pocket knife on the table today, and this is the CJRB Kicker that we're going to be looking at today. And the Kicker, it does have a blade length of 3.5 inches. Open, it's 8.25 inches. Closed, it is 4.75 inches. The steel on this, it is a D2 steel, stonewash finish on it, so it doesn't show scrapes and scratches as much as a regular finish would on the knife, and it is a clip point blade. The handle on this is a G10. Make sure I get that so you can actually see it. And the liners are a stainless steel, and they are somewhat skeletonized, and kind of shows that in there. The pocket clip, the weight on this, 4.55 ounces. And the pocket clip, it is a stainless steel reversible tip up, and it is a deep carry for the most part. There is a little bit sticking up, but for the most part they consider it a deep carry. It is flipper opening, and so you got the flipper tab, and it's easily accessed there, and it does also have a lanyard hole. So it is ambidextrous, which is nice, and the lock makes this a little more ambidextrous as I get my fingers, and I just cut myself. How about that? Time for another band-aid. So I'm gonna say that the blade has a little bit of sharpness to it, because it barely hit me and it cut me open. So yes, as I was going to say, it has an interesting lock on it. It has what they call, CJRB calls, a recoil lock. So it is very similar to a barrel lock in that you pull it back to release the blade and allow it to come down. The difference with a lot of like the Axis lock on Benchmade, or a number of knives are carrying them or have locks as well. SOG has some on their knives. Different companies have been using the Axis type lock, and so CJRB made their version. Difference is theirs goes across the top here, so you can pull it back with your finger and close the blade. And so if you do it right, it closes all the way. The only thing is it's not a way to open the knife. Doesn't give you that option, but it does make it very ambidextrous. So lefties, this works great for you as well as right-handed as people as well. So yes, the recoil lock on it, it does work, and you can either, like I say, pull that back with your finger on the top, or you can pull it on the sides as you would an Axis lock, and it works pretty decent. So it does have half back spacer there and open spine a bit, half open spine, and it does have a slight choil. I wouldn't use it as a finger choil. It's more for sharpening purposes, but the choil is there as well. And so CJRB is a good budget knife because you're getting quite a bit for not a lot of money. These run, what was it? It's about $50 Canadian for these. You're getting the G10 handle, D2 steel, and you can see it lines up fairly well down the middle there. doesn't need any adjustment, and there is no blade play, so it sits in there nice and solid. And yeah, that's nice for a budget knife that's not going to break the bank and take all your money from you. So CJRB is making quite a few knives that fall in the budget range. And let's take a quick look at some size comparisons. So compared to the Ontario Rat 2, you can see it's a bit bigger. Same with the Civivi Elementum, which is basically the same size as the Rat 2. You can see it's got a bit of length on both of those. It is 8.25 inches, so 8¼ inches long. Got a couple other knives we can compare it here. I got the Terminus from SOG, again roughly the same size as the last two knives. And we've got the Tenacious, and you can see it's bigger than both of those. And one last knife that I happen to have on me, my carry today, is the Civivi Praxis. So you can see those two are pretty close to the same size. It's just got more width, kind of like the Spyderco. But yeah, it's a little bit bigger. The Praxis is slightly bigger than the Kicker, CJRB Kicker. So sharpness, let's see what this thing offers in terms of sharpness. As we know, it does cut fingers. And does it cut paper? It seems to have no problem cutting paper. Could explain why it cut my finger. And how about a good old zap strap? Let's see what it does to that. Now it does have a bit of a curve to the belly there, so it might try and ride up, but no, it goes through there pretty easy. And I'm willing to bet these cords aren't going to be much of a challenge for it. Nope. Just pulled that one back and it cut through. Didn't even have to push forward. Oh, same with that one. Jeepers. That was no effort at all. So they do come with a good edge. At least this one did. So I'm going to assume that they're putting a good edge on the rest of their knives. And so what I like the aesthetics of this knife. I like the blade design, the profile. It's a good looking profile. The handle has some design to it, makes it look good. I like the fact that they sorry, I keep thinking it's a liner lock, and so I go to push the liner lock down and there's no liner. One of the things I like is they put this cap under the pivot screw on both sides, which just gives it a nice little aesthetic. Makes it look a little bolder and pop a little more. So it does have a good look to it. The ergonomics on it are really good. It feels good in the hand. Has a nice downward motion, and then with the curved blade, I've opened boxes and that with this, and this thing cuts through boxes pretty decently. It doesn't take a lot of effort to go through them. The grip on it, as I showed earlier, it does have a good grip on it, so nice diamond shape in the G10. So it gives you that good grip, and the lock actually works too to give you a bit of a grip, and it has kind of a jimping on there. The only thing you'd want to be careful if you're the kind of person that puts your thumb up there and you're cutting, don't pull back, because you will cut, or you'll release the blade. One of the nice things is the pivot, learn my words today. The flipper tab acts as a bit of a stop, so you shouldn't cut yourself, but you want to be careful of that just the same. The pivot on here, the first few times it was kind of stiff. I put some Benchmade pivot lubrication on there, and it works great now. It fires every time. Don't have any problem with it. And it's kind of a good fidget factor. With the recoil lock there, it gives it that little fidget factor. And as we saw, the blade is sharp. Probably my only complaint about this, and if you've watched any of my videos, you'll know it's a complaint with a lot of the knives. I'm happy that they made the pocket clip screws flush mounted, but it would have been nice if they would have made the pocket clip flush with the top of the handle there, G10. It's not going to do a whole lot of wear and tear on your pocket, but it does do a little bit. And the pocket clip it's not super stiff, but it works well, and it fits good in the pocket. You don't notice it that much in your pocket. It's fairly slim, even though it is kind of a big knife. It doesn't take up a lot of room in the pocket. So my only real complaint is that, and it doesn't affect the use of the knife and how the knife functions. It's just my personal taste. So take it or leave it. It's not a deal breaker by any stretch of the imagination. But this would be a good everyday carry knife for anybody that's looking for good everyday carry. With the D2, it should hold the edge for a long time, and it's a comfortable knife to use. And again, it's got a bit of handle on it, so you guys with bigger hands, you find this knife comfortable in your hands as well. And if you have smaller hands, it should be comfortable also. But it just, some of the guys with bigger hands have a hard time finding knives. Like the Elementum has a smaller handle, as you can see, and if you've got a big hand, you might have a finger hanging off the end there. So you shouldn't have that problem with this knife. It's got a little generous handle on it, and it would be a good knife for people of all ages and all walks, depending on what you need your knife for. It might be a little bigger than some people want for a knife, but as I say, it doesn't feel like a big knife, even though it is over 8 inches in length. So that is the CJRB Kicker. And you can find these here in Canada on the West Coast. House of Knives carries them. Warriors and Wonders carries them. And as I say, I think it was, these might have been $44, and in between 40 and 50 bucks for them. And so far the CJRB, I've got a couple of them, and they've held up fairly decent, so I'm assuming these ones will as well. And you can find these at a lot of different knife stores, especially if you're down in the States. So CJRB Kicker. Thank you for joining me on this review. I'll be doing another one in a couple days. Until then, you stay safe and stay sharp.